You're standing on a mudflat at the edge of Doggerland, 8,200 years ago, the land bridge that once connected Britain to mainland Europe. Oak and hazel woodland stretches out behind you. Bear and wild boar move through it, unbothered. Then the water pulls back, the whole shoreline exposed at once, like the sea just inhaled. You don't know what that means yet. In a few minutes, roughly 3,500 cubic kilometers of collapsed seafloor off the coast of Norway is going to arrive as a wall of water, and there is nowhere on this flat, wooded plain to run. Right now you get hours of notice, a phone alert, a marked evacuation route, maybe a siren. You've never once had to guess whether the ocean was about to erase your village, based only on the fact that the water suddenly disappeared. For most of human history, that guess, read fast, acted on faster, was the entire warning system. So how did people with no seismographs, no satellites, no 7-day forecast actually survive something this fast and this total? The answer isn't luck, it's memory, built to outlive the people who first needed it. In 2017, James Goff at the University of New South Wales led a team back to a creek bank outside Aitape, on the northern coast of Papua New Guinea. 90 years earlier, a geologist named Paul Hosfeld had pulled a human skull fragment out of that same bank 7 miles inland and 170 feet above sea level. For decades, nobody knew what killed its owner. Goff's team ran the surrounding sediment through lab analysis, grain size, chemistry, the broken silica shells of microscopic diatoms, and matched the signature to the tsunami that struck Papua New Guinea in 1998, a wave that killed over 2,000 people. The skull dated to roughly 6,000 years old. As far as anyone has found, that makes it the oldest confirmed tsunami death on record. Not a myth, not a folk memory. A body, 7 miles from the water, carried there by a wave, with the same fingerprint the region would see again 6,000 years later. So if a wave could reach that far inland, how did anyone downstream of it ever see it coming? 6,000 years later and 8,000 miles east, a different kind of record was being kept. Not in sediment, but in story. In 2005, Ruth Ludwin, a seismologist at the University of Washington, published research built around a myth told by coastal tribes from Northern California to Vancouver Island. Thunderbird locks its talons into the back of whale, and the two of them fight until the ground shakes and the ocean rises. Ludwin cross-referenced dozens of these oral histories against tree ring data, and against Japanese written records describing a tsunami with no local earthquake to explain it. The dates lined up to January 26, 1700, at around 9 at night. A single night, remembered for 3 centuries in a language of birds and sea monsters, precise enough to help confirm the hour a fault 680 miles long tore open the seafloor. Everyone assumes oral tradition is folklore dressed up as fact, vague, embellished, unreliable next to a peer-reviewed paper. The truth is, Ludwin's myth helped pin down a date modern seismology couldn't reach alone, accurate to the year and nearly the hour. 300 years of bedtime stories outperformed the written record, because on that side of the ocean, there wasn't one. On the other side of the same Pacific, one culture skipped the story and carved the warning straight into rock. Near the village of Anayoshi, on Japan's northeastern coast, stands a stone slab close to 600 years old. Its inscription is blunt: "Do not build any homes below this point." In 1933, a tsunami destroyed the village and left 4 survivors. They rebuilt above the marker. On March 11, 2011, a magnitude 9 earthquake sent a wave crashing over that same coastline, one of hundreds of tsunami stones scattered along Japan's shore. Every home in Anayoshi built above that line survived. 12-year-old Yuto Kimura, whose family had grown up reading that stone, later told reporters his mother pulled him from school, and the whole village simply walked uphill. No app, no siren. 6 centuries of granite, doing its one job. Everyone assumes a slab of rock couldn't compete with modern seawalls and digital warning systems. Disaster researchers studying the Tohoku disaster found something colder. It takes roughly 3 generations for a community to forget a wave ever happened. Long after the concrete walls went up, the towns that had quietly stopped reading their own stones were the ones that flooded. The earliest known version of that same engineering may be older than writing itself. In 2020, James Walker and a team from the University of Bradford drilled sediment cores from what used to be the floor of Doggerland, the now sunken land bridge beneath today's North Sea. They were tracing the Storegga Slide, 3 underwater landslides off the Norwegian coast, roughly 8,200 years ago, that displaced an estimated 3,500 cubic kilometers of seabed. Deposits from the wave it triggered have turned up from western Norway to the Shetland Islands to the eastern coast of Scotland, in places now standing 20 meters above sea level, with an estimated run-up as high as 35 meters. taller than the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami and the 2011 wave off Japan combined into a single number. And in the layer of sediment the wave left behind, Bradford's team found almost no trace of Mesolithic human remains at all. Whatever the people of Doggerland knew, or didn't, most of them may have already been gone. So here's the pattern underneath 4 pieces of evidence, 6,000 years and 8,000 miles apart. The wave itself was never really the deciding factor. Every coastline on Earth eventually gets one. What decided who lived was whether a warning survived long enough to reach the next generation. Carved into stone, folded into a myth about a bird and a whale, or lost completely under a collapsing seabed with no one left to tell it. The real technology ancient humans built against tsunamis wasn't a shelter. It wasn't a wall. It was memory with a delivery system. Something engineered to outlive the person who first needed it. Built to reach someone who hadn't been born yet. Go back to that mudflat. 8,200 years ago, the water pulled back like a held breath. Somewhere close by, someone may have seen that exact moment before, or heard about it from someone who had, and started running before the ground even shook. You'll probably never read a tsunami stone, or grow up on a story about a bird dragging a whale to the ocean floor. You have satellites doing that work now, silently, asking nothing of you. But for most of human history, survival wasn't a warning system built into the sky. It was a story, or a scar, or a stone. And it only worked if somebody remembered to pass it on. The water pulls back, and the shoreline empties out in seconds. No sirens, no apps, just a wave, and whatever warning managed to survive long enough to reach you.